Okay, I started by, this is a photograph that I took of a azalea bush in my front yard. And so I just printed it with my color printer, and I just traced on the just the center flowers, and I just kind of gave myself the idea of some branches in the background, and then just some spots where you can see some more of the pink flowers in the background. I just kind of marked those out so that when I do my first glazing, I know to give those a glaze of pink. Hopefully that's how it's going to work out. And again, I'm working with my Turner watercolors. The main colors I believe I'm going to be working with today are going to be the quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, sap green, and permanent gamboge, and maybe there might end up being a little burnt sienna or burnt umber, and maybe even a little yellow ochre in the mix. We'll see as we go. So this exercise is going to take us through glazing. We didn't, in our beginning exercise, we didn't talk about glazing much. We talked about flat washes and dry washes. Well, glazing is simply is just layering. I can't think of another way to describe it. Glazing is just a way of layering colors on top of each other, because watercolors are transparent. So when you glaze, you're going to layer down an undertone of one color and then layer on top of it, and it's going to give you beautiful glowing effects. So for the background, we're going to glaze in the permanent gamboge, and for the flowers, we're going to glaze in the quinacridone magenta. Very, very watered down washes. They're going to be kind of watered down flat washes, because we just want to create that underneath, that glow from underneath of the colors. So I'm going to get a wash of the quinacridone magenta, and I'm just going to use my spray bottle to squirt a little extra water on my palette so I can water this down. So it's a nice light watery mix, and I'm just going to go in and brush it. And with the glazing, you don't have to be horribly exact. I mean, it doesn't have to be a very precise, because again, you're going to be layering, so you're going to be covering up some of that. But since our tonalities or not tonalities, our tints are different. Hues, that's the word I'm looking for. Ooh, it took me a minute. I mean, yellow and pink are very different hues, so and I have some whiter highlights right there, so I'm going to want that pink glazing to be quite light. Have a little highlight right here. And right in here. And right there, and I'm just actually just going to leave that white and not glaze over it. I feel like my magenta's running everywhere. That's okay, I'll clean it up in a little bit. And I have a big white highlight kind of in the center of this one. This magenta is a very strong color. Even a light watered down glaze of it's still pretty strong in color. And this is the watercolor paper I just recently purchased. This is the 140 pound, I'm sorry, let's see, that was the Fluid 100 cold press 140 pound 6x8 block. And so this is my first time trying it, and we're going to see how it does. I've had a little trouble with fluid control on the Fabriano studio paper, but it's a hot press and it's not 100% cotton, so I'm thinking that might be part of the fluid control issues I was having. So we're going to find out if this works any differently. But I'll go ahead and put an iCard right here to show you the haul, Jerry's Orderama haul, that I purchased this paper. Now I've got 2 buckets of water. I've got one for rinsing and one for a jar for clean water if I should need it. And I've also got my spray bottle for clean water. I'll go ahead and clean up some of this runoff of paint in my palette. Sorry, I don't have the most level house. It's quite old. And I might just leave that sponge there to prevent that from happening again. Alright, I'm going to hit this with my heat gun and finish drying it so we can do the glaze, the first layer of glaze on the background of the picture. Okay, I've got my number 30 round Mimic Squirrel, and I'm going to go ahead and wet the background. Alright, and again I'm going to get a nice juicy wash of the permanent gamboge. And just wash the entire background with it. And this is going to give that feeling of sunshine coming through all the leaves, because it's a very dense azalea tree. It's very heavy in foliage and blooms when it's in full bloom. And so not a whole lot of light filters in when you're looking, you know, kind of towards the center of the tree, which is the part of the tree that I took these pictures from. Of course, I could take as much creative license here as I want and you know, just make it like more of the top of the tree and see more sky and sun and whatnot. But I'm going to go with as much to the photograph as I can. Alright, that looks good. Just a nice light wash over the entire background. And again, I'm going to hit it with my heat tool so we can hurry this process along, because this video will be forever long if we don't. Okay, now I'm going to take my number 2 round, and I'm going to, well, let me get it a little bit wet first. And I'm going to take some burnt umber. I'm going to go ahead and put in the hint of those branches. I'm going to take just a little clean water and just wet this one area of this petal. I think I got just a little too much yellow in that one right there, and that'll be good places for highlights. So I'm just going to set that water in there and let it soak in a little bit. And just tapping with my paper towel. Not rubbing it all, I'm just pressing. Okay, now this is where the glazing part comes in. Now we're going to start layering. We're going to start layering color. So I'm going to re-wet the background, yes, right on top of the yellow. Careful around my flowers. And I like this glazing because the second part you really don't have to be that careful. You can, you know, kind of not get too close to your petals, and it's going to be okay because all it's going to do is make it look like there's a sun. This next bit of color, you know, up close to them, that's okay. Because that first little glaze of yellow just will make it look like sunshine peeking through on the petals. Alright, now I'm going to take a wash of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to dab in bits of it. So we'll have bits of sky peeking in from the background. Because in my picture you can see all little bits of atmosphere coming through. Now I'm going to take some sap green. And I'm going to dot it in. So that's going to be our foliage. If you get a little carried away like I do, try and blot it up as soon as you can before it dries. And oh, my burnt sienna kind of dried out on me. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to dot in a little burnt sienna here and there. And I'm going to mix a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my green together, because there is a lot of a blue-green hue to some of the leaves here. So I want to make sure and bring that and I'm trying so hard to leave yellow bits. I kind of fight with myself. Okay, I'm going to leave that be because I could sit here and just overwork it and overfuss it to death. The only thing is I really would like is the idea of more specific foliage. So I think I'm going to make my mix of sap green here a little bit darker. And I think along these branches I'm gonna dot that in. Okay, and again I'm going to pull some more ultramarine into that mix. And this is glazing, it's layering. Now, I probably ideally should have dried that second layer before going in with this, but I did still want it to kind of fuzz out, so I did still want my background to be wet. I just think maybe this might have been a little bit too wet, but that's okay. And I'm going in with this more blue-green. Along the branch lines that I've put in. I need to stop, I think, because I think I'm going to start losing my background atmosphere. So again, I'm going to grab my heat tool. Okay, I think I still just want this kind of blue-green area to be just even a little bit bluer. So I'm going to pick up some more ultramarine and add it to that green. And this is what glazing is all about. It's all about layering. And don't be afraid to turn your work. Stay in frame so you folks can see, to get the right directionality. And I apologize if my voice is just monotone and boring. I've been told before that it is, but I've also been told that I have a lovely voice, so, or a soothing voice, I guess, maybe. Lord knows I can't sing, so I wouldn't exactly call my voice lovely, but and I'm just trying to really get that hint of foliage, kind of more specifically, but still not real exact. And the tip of a round brush is really good for that, for getting that kind of pointy tip shape of a leaf. There we go. I think we've got a good hint of foliage without completely losing our atmosphere. I'm going to put in a leaf right here. And this is another thing that the glazing does, is it helps us to get darker tones, because you know watercolor is very transparent. So if you want to get your tones a little more, say, opaque, or just, you know, to get that depth, little depth. It can be a hard word to say. Then glazing will help you achieve that. And I'm just kind of referencing my picture for placing some of these foreground leaves in. And I'm going to grab a credit card bit. This is one of my favorite frugal crafter tips. Now, one of the things I noticed in these leaves is you don't really see a lot, or in this photograph of these leaves, is you don't see a lot of the detail of the veining. You do make out the center, but that's about all. So I'm not going to get real fussy with the veins.